The last bell of the day rang across Maple Ridge High, sending students pouring out of classrooms like a wave of restless energy. Most days, I would walk home or catch a ride with my best friend, but something felt oddly different today. The hallways felt quieter, even though they were full of people. My phone buzzed in my pocket, and when I pulled it out, I saw a message from Dad. "I'm here outside. Come when you're ready." I frowned. Dad rarely picked me up from school. He worked long hours at the auto shop, usually staying well past closing time. Mom was the one who usually sent texts checking on whether I got home safely or if I wanted her to heat up leftovers. But today, the message came from Dad. Short, quiet, unusual. I packed my books, slung my backpack over my shoulder, and walked out the side entrance toward the parking lot. The autumn air brushed against my face, sharp and cool, hinting at the early November chill. The sun hovered low, casting long shadows across the cars. I spotted Dad leaning against our silver SUV, hands in his pockets, shoulders slightly tense. His dusty work boots and oil-stained jeans were the same as always, but something in the way he stood made my stomach tighten. "Hey, Dad," I said carefully, approaching the car. He looked up with a small smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Hey, Lily. Ready to go?" "Yeah," I replied, trying to read his expression. He opened the passenger door for me, a rare, almost old-fashioned gesture, and closed it gently once I was settled inside. After getting behind the wheel, he started the engine, though he didn't pull out right away. Instead, he rested his hands still on the steering wheel. "You doing okay today?" he asked softly. "Yes," I said slowly. "Are you?" He let out a small breath. "We'll talk. Let's get you home first." The car rolled out of the parking lot. The ride felt quieter than usual, not uncomfortable, just intentional. The hum of the tires on the road replaced the usual flow of radio chatter. Dad kept glancing toward me, like he wanted to say something but didn't know how to begin. "You want to tell me what's going on?" I finally asked. Dad's grip on the steering wheel tightened slightly. "I will. I promise. But I want to take the long way home today, if that's all right." The long way home. Whenever Dad said that, it usually meant two things. He had something important on his mind, or he was trying to buy time to figure out how to say it. We passed the turnoff for our neighborhood, heading instead toward the scenic route along the lake. The water shimmered under the afternoon sun, ripples catching the light like sequins. Ducks lined the shore, and joggers trotted past with headphones. Dad cleared his throat. "Your principal called me today." My heart skipped. 100 scenarios rushed through my mind. "Am I in trouble?" "No," he said quickly, shaking his head. "You're not in any kind of trouble." He paused. "But something happened." "What happened?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. Dad exhaled, trying to keep his tone even. "One of your teachers, Mr. Donovan, mentioned that you seemed a little distracted lately. That you weren't yourself. They were worried and wanted to make sure things were all right at home." Relief washed through me so hard I actually sagged back in my seat. "Oh, that's all." Dad smiled faintly. "For a parent, that's not all. When your school calls out of the blue, you start imagining every worst-case scenario ever created." He paused, then added softly, "Is there something bothering you, Lily? Anything you haven't told us?" I looked out the window, watching the trees blur by. "I've just been stressed. Tests, college prep, projects, Everything feels like it's coming all at once. Dad nodded, his voice warm and understanding. Senior year does that. I still remember sweating over my own grades, thinking every decision would make or break my life. Mom said you almost didn't graduate, I teased lightly. He laughed. Yeah, well, I spent more time working at the garage and trying to help my mom than studying. But it worked out. We reached an overlook where the lake curved into the sloping horizon. Dad pulled into the lot and turned off the engine. Want to sit for a bit? I nodded, and we both got out. The air felt crisp and refreshing. The wind carried the scent of damp leaves, pine, and the faint hint of something sweet, maybe from a nearby cafe. Dad leaned against the front of the SUV, arms crossed loosely. Lily, there's also something I haven't told you. Something your mom and I have been discussing. The world paused around us. Are you guys okay? I asked, suddenly afraid of the answer. Dad's eyes widened. Oh, yeah, no. We're fine. Perfectly fine. Your mom and I are just trying to make sure we help you through all this. I let out a breath, relieved. I couldn't imagine our home without both of them. They were the type who argued over silly things, like who took the last cup of coffee, but always hugged afterward. They were steady, predictable, safe. So what is it? I asked cautiously. Dad rubbed his hands together nervously. You know how you've been taking on a lot lately. School, clubs, volunteering, helping your mom on weekends. We think maybe you're pushing yourself too hard. I blinked, unsure how to react. But I'm okay. Really. You say that, Dad said gently, but I've noticed things. You're up late studying. You skip meals sometimes. You haven't hung out with friends much lately. You've always been responsible, more responsible than I ever was at your age, but you're still a kid, Lily. You don't have to carry everything alone. My eyes stung unexpectedly. I'm not trying to carry everything. I know, Dad replied softly. But it feels like you think you have to. Silence settled between us. A calm, understanding silence. Dad continued, your mom and I have been trying to figure out how to help without getting in your way. And today, when the principal called, I realized maybe I haven't been around as much as I should be. I've been busy with work, but that doesn't excuse missing what's going on with you. You didn't miss anything, I said firmly. I just didn't want to bother you guys. Dad's expression softened. You could never bother us. The wind tossed my hair slightly, and I tucked it behind my ear. I just want to make you proud. You already do, Dad said, his voice thick with emotion. Every day. But being proud of you isn't about grades or achievements. It's about you being okay, happy, healthy, and not so stressed that it hurts. I swallowed hard. It's just a lot sometimes. I know, he said. And that's why we're going to make some changes to help you. I'll be around more. I talked to my boss today. Starting next week, I'm cutting back on some overtime shifts. I want to be home earlier. I want to be part of your day, not just the tired guy who walks in after dinner. I stared at him, stunned. Dad had worked overtime for years. It wasn't just money, it was how he ensured our family had everything we needed. For him to give up hours meant giving up income. It meant sacrifice. You don't have to do that for me, I said softly. He shook his head with a firm smile. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it because I want to. Because I love being your dad. And I don't want to miss these last months before you leave for college. A wave of emotion hit me so fast I could barely hold it together. Tears blurred my vision, and Dad immediately stepped closer. Hey, hey, he whispered, pulling me into a warm hug. It's okay. I buried my face in his shoulder. I'm just tired, Dad. I know, sweetheart, he said. And we're going to fix that. We stood there for a long time, looking at the lake, breathing in the cool air. The heaviness I'd been carrying for weeks felt lighter. Not gone, but shared. When we finally got back into the car and began driving home, the silence wasn't heavy anymore. It was peaceful. Dad turned on the radio, soft, easy music, and tapped the rhythm lightly on the wheel. You know, he said after a moment, I picked you up quietly today because I didn't want you to worry. I just wanted to be here. I smiled. You were. Always will be, he replied with conviction. The sun dipped behind the horizon as we pulled into our driveway. The porch light flickered on, casting a glow across the front lawn. Mom opened the door with a curious look, but when she saw our faces, calmer, lighter, she relaxed. Everything okay? She asked. Dad wrapped an arm around my shoulder. Yeah, he said. Everything's okay now. And for the first time in a long time, I truly felt that it was.